Pleasant good evening. Bonsoir. Tikmun, how are you?
How are you, Marlon? I'm sorry, my sound is a little down. Let me fix it. All right.
Welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us live here for Rally for Kamala. We are here after Sunday dinner, Karen Andre. We are streaming live on Trini Jungle Juice, Le Union Suite, the Coda Network, Tempo TV, and we are streaming live on your device, whether you're on your iPad, your phone, or your laptop. We are just glad that you're here with us for this Rally for Kamala.
Indeed, Marlon. Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Andre, proud co-host, proud Haitian American. You see the flag back there. Who you repping, Marlon? Oh, you got the whole world. Oh, I need one of those, brother. Can you ship one of those to DC, please? Please and thank. I'll make it into a necktie, a scarf.
Drop your flag in the comments. Want to see who's representing us here on the rally. Here live, 6:30 p.m. on Trini Jungle Juice. Drop your flag. And we also want to know, what city are you representing from? Are you joining us from Philly? Are you joining us from Bethesda? Are you joining us from Atlanta? Are you joining us from Houston? Or maybe you're in Port-au-Prince or Port of Spain.
Hey.
Drop your comments in the chat. We want to see who's tuning in here for the rally. Please share this live with everyone, broadcasting live on YouTube, Trini Jungle Juice or Coda Network, Tempo TV, Le Union Suite. Share it to a family member, text it to them. We want you to be a part of this conversation that we're going to have. This is such an important conversation that we are having with you here tonight.
Indeed, with less than 50 days to go. Just the other day, it was 47 days to the election, which if Madam Vice President makes it, we're claiming it to manifest. She'd be the 47th president of the United States. So we are in a critical moment. And tonight we're going to center a couple of critical key themes. You're going to hear a little bit about our brothers and sisters from my island home, Haiti, and vis-a-vis what we've been dealing with in the headlines and what that means politically. And you're also going to hear from people representing across the Caribbean diaspora. And obviously, we're going to have a person from the campaign to talk to us about what needs to happen to get us to those 270 electoral votes. And we'll be weaving in information and education within the conversation. But we have a packed agenda, and we're just so happy to be here. I just want to shout out everyone who is part of Rally Caribbean Americans for Kamala. We are just a group of grassroots volunteers that either have worked in politics or just care deeply about politics, because we understand how politics affects your life from your birth certificate to your death certificate. So we want to make sure that our community is informed, that you hear it from brethren and sistren that you know and love and trust, who have your back. And we are bringing you experts and people who have been in the width and breadth of the political spectrum to center why this election is so important and what you can do to turn the page, because we're not going back and make history. Back to you, Marlon.
Karen, you are from representing Haiti. I'm representing the island of Jamaica, which is a couple across the street. We're across
Absolutely.
the street. I want you to change my name. My nickname for tonight is going to be Dirty Bookman.
Dirty Bookman. Oh, can I break down why you're claiming that name, or do you want to do it?
You tell me. I'm your friend tonight. I'm Dirty Bookman tonight, because that's such an important, significant. Let's just go all the way back to around 1791, maybe 1790, right? And I heard the bang sounds. We're not going back, right? We need to go forward, right? And I left Jamaica, from the hills of Jamaica, with my family, and I'm gonna go over to Haiti to kind of cause some good trouble.
Good trouble. Our beloved brother, who was with us in the beginning, in the events that sparked the revolution that became the Haitian Revolution, creating the first ever Black independent republic in the Western Hemisphere. What many don't know is that a maroon, a learned man who could read, hence the name Bookman, somehow, don't know how, but our people are ingenious, made it to Haiti, partnered with this dude named Toussaint Louverture and a bunch of other rabble-rousers that were saying, give me my freedom or give me my death. There
Right.
was a opening moment called the Bois Caïman ceremony, and Boukman and others swore to fight to the death to liberate the enslaved people on the island of then Hispaniola.
You know, and some of our speakers tonight, Karen, are going to take us through this historical journey of the connection between the Caribbean and the United States of America. We have well over 4 million conservatively Americans of Caribbean descent, all across the United States of America, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Texas, California, all over these United States. And we're now getting ready to develop our voting plan. The deadline to register to vote, Karen, is coming up in Florida and Georgia on October the 7th.
Right.
In Pennsylvania is October 21st. In Wisconsin, October 16th. But tonight, we're going to claim that the voter registration deadline is tonight. Right?
That's
you
right.
need to go online to iwillvote.com and register to vote. You need to be 18 years old. You need to be a U.S. citizen. You need to follow the rules of your state, have your rights restored. If you're living, working, studying overseas, and you're of Caribbean descent, you also have the right to vote, actually, as well. So you need to make sure that you're registered. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that process. But tonight is the deadline to register to vote. And we are going to cause some good trouble with some of our speakers and make sure that you are getting ready. Less than 45 days, Karen. It's actually 44 days.
44 days.
Early voting starts in many of these states, has already started in Minnesota, already started in Virginia, and will be starting in several other states as well. So we want to get you prepared tonight. We want to thank you for joining us here on Rally for Kamala, streaming live on Trini Jungle Juice on Le Union Suite and Coda Network.
So we'll be sending out information after the call and posting on our social media at Rally for Kamala, at Rally Caribbean Americans on Instagram. So we will post these deadline dates. We're going to move tonight with a sense of urgency, as if the voter registration deadline is upon us. But if you have friends and family who either aren't current on their registration, aren't sure if their registration is current, if they've moved since the last election, you want to check. Even if you think you're registered, just double check, because in some states they've had voter purges, and people find out after the voter registration deadline that they've been purged. There's some trickiness, right? Some bad-mindedness happening between last election and this. So these are some of the tricks that are often used to suppress the vote. And the reality, Marlon, is that in many states, we far outnumber, we Democrats, if you're a Democrat, far outnumber the Republicans, which is obviously I'm speaking as a Democrat supporting Vice President Harris, but acknowledging independents can also vote. And so sometimes the reason we don't get our candidate over the finish line is because our turnout, our GOTV, get out the vote, is not robust enough. Or in other words, your cousin decided not to go vote. I think we can talk a little bit later about how close we've seen some elections be decided by some narrow margins because that one person or two person per precinct didn't make it into vote, right?
Listen, we want you to grab a cup of mint tea, or grab you a nice cocktail or some water. And we're going to ask Karen now to introduce our first speaker here for Rally for Kamala here on YouTube, courtesy of Trini Jungle Juice and our other streaming partners. Take it away, Karen.
Thank you, Marlon. All right. I am so excited to bring this next person to the screen. He is, if not then one of the best and brightest representing Haiti and representing our diaspora. His name is Patrick Gaspard. Many of you may know him as the former U.S. ambassador to South Africa during President Obama's term. Prior to that, he served in the Obama White House as the political director for President Obama. Prior to that, he was the national political director, huge role during the historic Obama campaign in 2008, and then served as the DNC chair during the 2012 election. Are you picking up that this person is a heavyweight? He brings such pride to all of us. I mentioning all of those accolades and accomplishments. Currently, he's joining us as a representative founder of the Haitian American Foundation for Democracy, And I know him in that context, in the previous context, but I know him dearly as my brother. And I know him first as an organizer. On social media right now, you may see young Haitians talking about a famed march across the Brooklyn Bridge that Haitian Americans did in the late 80s because we were improperly, unscientifically, disrespectfully, yet again, labeled in a way that was detrimental to our well-being and patently false. Back then, for those who don't know, the Food and Drug Administration labeled Haitians as one of the 4 groups that were high risk for being AIDS transmitters. That was debunked, just as recent headlines have been debunked. But what I love to share about Patrick is that if you ever see that photo of thousands of Haitians walking across that bridge, know that a young organizer named Patrick Gaspard was in the center of making that happen. Know that he has been trained up by the Jesse Jacksons of the world, by every seminal progressive Black leader you can think of in the last 30 years. He only looks like he's 40, so I don't know how that happened, but I'm dragging on too long. I know he's cringing, but I'm gonna bring on my brother, former US Ambassador Patrick Gaspard, and currently heading up the Center for American Progress, but speaking tonight on behalf of the Haitian American Foundation for Democracy. Welcome, brother.
Thank you so much, my dear sister Karen. I don't know if I should just feel thrilled by that introduction or maybe feel a little old. It's a great honor to be able to join my Caribbean American family as we all try to make history with one of our very own. Sac passe. Hey, Caribbeans for Kamala has just the right flavor with enough Scotch bonnets and pickles to light up the world.
Amen.
Because we're all Caribbean, Karen, that means that we're all used to working many jobs all at once. So I'm going to ask everybody here to do the Caribbean thing and take on so many jobs on behalf of the campaign. But first, can we just get real for a second about what Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican gang are doing to our people, especially my Haitian peeps in Springfield?
Yes.
We're now 12 days removed from vile attacks launched by Donald Trump on the debate stage against Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio. Legal migrants, I should add, to a town that needed revitalization in its dying industries. Migrants who have been embraced by the Republican governor of Ohio, by the Republican mayor of the town, and the decent men and women of Springfield who have embraced them, integrated them into the community, and have partnered with them. I won't repeat Trump's vile and wicked words because they're so damn inhumane. But we know that they've been repeated and doubled down on by J.D. Vance and their agents like Vivek Ramaswamy. These are dehumanizing lies that have been debunked endlessly, but they are effectively wreaking havoc in the lives of hardworking folks. Schools and government offices have been shut due to bomb threats. Karen, you and I know fantastic community service providers who have had their homes raided by SWAT units there. The Proud Boys are walking through the streets of Springfield, intimidating children on their way home from school. And the hate has spread to other Haitian communities in the country and other immigrant enclaves. Every day that this story is top of the news, everyone is at risk. And it's not just the Haitian community. The entire city's been put at risk of violence. And these people, Donald Trump and all of his cohort, are really happy to bring terror into the lives of children because, and here's the trick, and here's the real strategy behind what they're doing here. They want to avoid talking about their own record, their own policies, and their own party. They're not going to stop at Springfield. They're going to keep spreading this hatred. Donald Trump also attacked Venezuelan migrants in Aurora, Colorado, spread lies about them that the Republican mayor there had to debunk. Why are they doing this? They don't want to talk about the fact that J.D. Vance, a few days ago, suggested that he and Donald Trump would let insurance companies discriminate against people again with pre-existing conditions if they win in November. They don't want to talk about Project 2025, their authoritarian playbook that will help them move to ban abortion across the country. And they don't want to talk about the fact that Donald Trump himself killed the bipartisan security bill on immigration that his party was just days away from being able to sign and negotiate. J.D. Vance admitted as much days ago on television when he said they were creating stories to distract and to create attention. The polls are showing us right now that these attacks are not working, that our Kamala has closed the gap on Trump, on how she's viewed on immigration. And we have extraordinary Americans standing up, like Nathan Clark, the father of the little boy Aiden Clark, who died in a car accident that started all of this craziness about Haitians in Springfield.
Let me stop you there. He stood in a public forum and said he wished his son had been killed by a white person so that Trump could not use his son's death as a political ploy.
He basically said that. He said, take my son's name out of your mouth.
That's right.
And he said that he wants more Americans to be like his son, Aiden, as we all open up our hearts and souls as we expand our notion of community and neighbor. He said he wants everyone to be like Aiden. So we all need to be like Aiden in this moment and extend our solidarity to those migrants in Springfield. But we also need to be like Aiden in stepping up and speaking out when people are being threatened, the way our vice president did some days ago. Karen, she's just incredibly brilliant and compassionate, and it showed on that debate stage, and it showed as she's provided defense for these migrants since.
Indeed. And Patrick, I want you to elaborate a little bit. Patrick is, again, so humble. He will not tell you how he is a political brain and strategist. So there is a very important Senate race happening in Ohio right now, right? Sherrod Brown, who is one of the last remaining blue people in the Midwest that could hold the blue wall. And we know every vote on the Senate and the House side counts, which is why we have to vote up and down. So would it be fair to say that some of these racist attacks, we know that they're crazy, they're racist, but they're crazy like a fox, right? There's a strategy. Would you say that some of the hopes that they have are to get some political gains by trumping up, yes, pun intended, fellow racists or people who have, unfortunate white supremacist views, to encourage them to go out and vote and potentially win back that Senate seat and obviously, bring more votes to the fore? Is that part of their strategy, you think?
So I'm going to say this, Karen. I'm going to say that your assessment of what Trump is trying to do here is spot on and right, but it's a little worse than that. Because of course, there's always been an element in our society that does indeed carry those regressive views that are bigoted and that are prepared to act on that bigotry. It's always going to be, that's always been the case.
Right.
But this is a more pernicious, more insidious thing, because what they're trying to do is exploit and take advantage of the natural fears that any community would have if they wake up and suddenly they see people who look a little different than them, who sound a little different than they do, and at a time when the population of Springfield declined by 20% because they had a massive brain drain. They sent their young people off to university in New York, Los Angeles, Miami, and elsewhere, and those young people stayed in other cities for other work. So they were feeling that brain drain there. And the migrants arrived, and those migrants were, again, invited by a Republican governor who embraced their arrival. And
this is not unusual that it happens in American cities.
It's a normal thing. But when it was Irish immigrants or German immigrants or most recently Ukrainian immigrants, there wasn't anything for people like Donald Trump to exploit and stir up. But these are Black immigrants. They happen to be Haitian. But if there were any Black immigrants from any other part of the Caribbean, any other part of our diaspora, you would see the same sort of insidious things happen. So yes, they're trying to stir up a base of turnout against Sherrod Brown in the state, but more broadly, they're trying to take up a narrative of fear and anxiety to move people from their hopes and to get them to vote on their worst fears for a future of America that they think might exclude them.
That's very helpful. And if you think about it, we had this in 2016. The group then was Mexicans. They're rapists. They're killers, right? We had, like you said, during his presidency. It was an S-hole comment about Haiti and African countries, and a contra response from him saying he would welcome people from Eastern European countries. Stark difference in racial background and identity. And now, again, it's Haitians, Venezuelans. And most recently, I even heard Congo. And you know, for you actually having being born on the soil of the actual continent in the country that was known as Zaire at the time, because little known history fact, Haitian educated populace was so plentiful in the years of the 40s and 50s and 60s that the burgeoning Francophone French colonized African countries that were now gaining their independence from France needed French speaking professionals to come teach, to come do law and all the things to set up their society. And so, Patrick, I'll let you say how that resulted in you getting there.
I love that you're providing history lessons, Karen. So yes, my father and eventually my mother went to the Congo. My father was an educator there, and I happened. So yes, I was born in the Congo. We lived there for a period. The history that you just cited, Karen, is important in debunking the myths and the lies that are being spread about Haitians. You cited before the historic march across the Brooklyn Bridge some decades ago when we were being labeled the carriers of disease. The same thing that J.D. Vance is saying about us now. But Haitian migrants who came, who went to the Congo in that moment, who've come to the U.S., are so disciplined about work. Many of them obtained the highest degrees in their country. There were doctors, there were lawyers in their country, there were nurses, there were teachers. They may be driving a taxi in New York, or working in an Amazon plant in Springfield, or working at a Honda plant in Kentucky. But these are folk who feel like they have a stake in society, who are trying to build a community. And if we had a functioning Republican Party in this country, that party would be trying to make an appeal to these hardworking, tax-paying community members. But instead, they want to stoke racial division and fear because they see that as a path to power. Fortunately for us, people can see through that. And the media finally seems to be catching on to their tricks as well. So,
Patrick, thank you for that. And thank you for centering those themes. Before you depart, can you give some action items to our listeners? As a person who has worked at the highest levels of politics in the United States, you've already centered how important this election is. But what would you encourage our voters from across the Caribbean diaspora? Go for it.
This is my favorite question. So yes. I said at the very top, Karen, that like good Caribbean Americans, we believe in working multiple jobs at the same time. That's just what we do. So here are a couple of jobs for you all to take on. Remember that we have the better candidate. Remember that her values will win at the end of the day and will trump his vulgarity, but only if we go out there and we do the work. So here are 5 jobs for you. 1, need you to become an Obama fundraiser. Sorry, I said Obama. Isn't that showing? A Kamala Harris fundraiser. Get your friends, your family, your loved ones to make contributions to the campaign. It matters. 2, take time off to volunteer for Kamala's campaign. Make sure that you tell your boss now, or if you're your own boss, clear it on your calendar. Take the last week off. Take the last 10 days off. Go to Philadelphia. Go to Atlanta. Go to a place where you can help move the vote. 3, start volunteering your time now. Even before you take time off, you can be telephone banking into any of the battleground states. 4, if you are a lawyer or if you know anything about the law, we need you to volunteer for the voter protection teams on the campaign. All the information is available on the website because we know that the Proud Boards and all of them will be trying to intimidate voters. And the last and 5th job is spread the word amongst your networks. When you go to the hair salon, when you go to the barber shop, when you go out to the bar and the nightclub on Friday night, spread the word, get everybody else in, and let's go win this damn thing.
I love that. Thank you so much, my dear brother, organizer, former ambassador, and all the things. We love you dearly, and we'll see you on the battlefield. God bless.
See you out in the trenches. Love you much.
All right. I'm going to kick it over to Marlon now.
Boy, Karen, it's so good to see Ambassador Gaspard. He's an OG on the ground in the trenches, and we certainly appreciate him taking time out on a Sunday evening to join us here for Rally for Kamala. Again, folks, we want to thank you for tuning in here. Please share the live to join the conversation. It seems, Karen, right now in the comments, Virginia is taking the Electoral College vote and the popular vote for being present in the comments. I'm not sure which flag is leading, whether it's Jamaica, Haiti, or Trinidad. I would leave that to the comments as to who is in the polling booth, making sure that they're doing those 5 things that Patrick mentioned of a Caribbean job. You have the black job and you have Caribbean jobs. When you put black jobs and Caribbean jobs together, Karen, fundraising, volunteering, phone banking, spreading the word,
voter protection
team, we're in all of them. But we're going to take a step back though, Karen. Ambassador Gaspard mentioned a couple of things, but I wanted to ask you, when this conspiracy theory came out and you heard about it as a person of Haitian descent, if you could just take a step back and tell me, what's the first emotion or feeling that you had? I know that I was incensed, and I'm not Haitian, right? So what first came to mind for you?
Disgust, right? Pure and utter disgust at how low these political figures are willing to go, how uncivilized. But my core as a Haitian American is never off center. I'm so grounded in our history and proud of my people. It did not hurt me, but it disgusted me. And my pain and my fear is for our people on the ground in Ohio, and it's for our babies that are getting bullied right now, because we know anytime a new group comes in, you're different, you speak differently, you're going to get teased just on general principle amongst the schoolyard, right? But now to have this ugly...
This was back in the 1980s, this was also happening, Karen.
I was just telling my brother this. He called me, he told my mom that. She said, that didn't happen. I said, oh yeah, Mom, I told her a story of how that happened to me. Someone made a similar reference from back in the day. And so, but I was so proud as a Haitian, again, it didn't affect me, but I might have been in the minority. I have a mom who is just, an incredible force of nature when it comes to Haitian culture and history. So I was particularly blessed. But back in the 80s and 90s, particularly in Miami, where many of the Haitians first arrived on the shores, it was blisteringly hard for children and students. I have friends who said for the first 2 years in their lives, they were chased home and mercilessly beaten, just again because they were being different. And this is during the AIDS epidemic and being falsely labeled there. So, and that was a government entity saying that. So it seemed as if everybody took it as gospel until Haitian doctors stood up and debunked it. So yes, we've had students that even killed themselves in Miami. It's a very famous story of a young man who was, in the closet in terms of his Haitianness, and somebody mentioned his sister walked up to him in public and said something to him in Creole, and his girlfriend broke up with him. And he was so heartbroken. You're a teenager, you don't have full sense of, your history and the life ahead of you. This young man killed himself. So these attacks have real world consequences. And serious potential policy consequences if Donald Trump and JD Vance get elected.
Putting on your immigration advocacy hat, you have been in the trenches in that world. What are the implications of this? We know that there was a bipartisan border bill that was being proposed and that was killed in Congress. What are the implications of us getting this right in terms of a new way forward for immigration in America, outside the context of these disparaging comments about legal Haitian immigrants in Ohio?
Great question. And to be fair, again, legality is fluid, right? Because technically the quote unquote settlers here that came from Europe were not legal, but here we are. They're venerated as founders. And so, and even if a person even entered this country or any country illegally, they are still a human, right? So we can't say we're going to speak humanely about people just because they're legal. I know that's not what you're saying, but just want to always center that. But yes, in my former life, I was a practicing immigration attorney with my own firm in Miami. And so we in the immigration community are very, very concerned as you said, not only was there a border bill that would have better centered the issues at the border that was proposed, but it was Trump, not even his capacity as president, as a former sitting president, that dialed into his Republican minions in the House that said, please kill that bill because it will not be good for him for that bill to pass when he's planning to run for president as he is now. So he's hitting on the migrant issue because he stopped our ability to fix the problem. Because as the vice president said on the Oprah rally recently, he'd rather run on a problem than run on a solution or allow a solution.
We're going to find a solution, and we're going to keep this rally going for our next speaker here on Sunday dinner. Please share the live with your family and friends. I'm streaming live on Trinity Jungle Juice, Coda Network, Le Union Suite. We want to get as many voices in the chat as much as possible. So our next speaker, we're going to go. You may know him as the personal aide to President Josh Bartlett on the West Wing. He is an Emmy Award-winning supporting actor. But he's also an advocate. Some people may say he's the pride of New Jersey, but we know him also as a son of the soil of Jamrock, Jamaica. I want to welcome to the rally for Kamala, Dulé Hill. And inquiring minds want to know if we're cousins. I don't know.
I mean, one of those inquiring minds is myself. You see, here's the thing: Jamaica it's big, but it's small. I think if we go back far enough, I'm pretty sure that we must have some relations somewhere.
What parish is the family from in Jamaica?
Westmoreland.
Westmoreland. Mm-hmm. All right, Dulé, we're gonna check on that one. But thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we're going to sidebar and figure it out.
We're gonna sort it out. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us here on Rally for Kamala. As you prepare for this election, Dulé, what are your thoughts? What's your emotion of today? Less than 44 days. What's on your mind? Your mind of your family. What are people saying?
I mean, really, the thing that is on the mind of my family and myself is, where do we want to go? Who do we want to be? What type of people do we want this nation to be? When we say we the people, we really are at a crossroads for our future, at a fork in the road, really. As I was there the other day, I was able to go to the White House. They had an event for the West Wing. It was the 25th anniversary of the West Wing.
Right. Saw that.
And the thing, I appreciated the honor of being able to attend the event. But the thing that stuck to me, I was there and I saw the beauty of the White House. Driving around DC, you see Capitol Hill, you see the Treasury, you see all these grand institutions. But what stuck to me about it all was that all of these institutions are made up of people. Simple as that. Sometimes when we're removed from it, we see the behemoth of the institution and think that it's something that's far removed from us. But really, there are people like you and me who get up every day and are going to work and either doing a good job or not doing a good job. And I think right now we're at a crossroads where we have to decide, what kind of people do we want inside of these institutions?
Yeah.
Do we want the kind of people that are going to move us towards hope and unity? Or do we want the type of people that's going to continue to stoke the flames of adversity and hate? Do we want the type of people that are going to create policy that's going to create an opportunity for the majority of us? Or do we want the type of people inside those institutions that are going to cater to the wealthy few of us?
Right.
Do we want the type of people that's going to honor immigration, honor the beauty of diversity?
Absolutely.
As we're hearing this conversation right now, talking about, with the Caribbean diaspora, we know that there is power in diversity. We know there is power in letting people come inside from above. That's my son coming in right now. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of a new way forward and the future, when you think of the ballot and you think of your son, know that you're a dad. What's important to you on the ballot? What are you thinking about?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
With your son, your son and your family, and you're thinking about this year's ballot. What's on your mind for your family when you're starting to prepare for this ballot?
It's the type of future that we want. That's really it. It's the type of future. You want to say hello? This is my son Levi. the next generation right there. But when you have children, you think about what kind of future do you want? Simple as that. And we really are at this crossroads right now. We have to see who do we want to be as people? I think that there is power in diversity. There's power in unity. There is power in when you allow different groups of people to come in and have a conversation. You have different points of view. But so often I see that people who look like me are demonized. People who have melanin like me are considered the adversary. They're considered the ones that bring us down, that doesn't build this country up. But truly, I know for a fact that we bring so much to this nation. If you look back into the history of the nation, we've always been a presence. We've always been a power. We've always made this country a better place. And even to this day, you can't go anywhere without touching somebody who's from the Caribbean, you know? So I think that's the thing that always sticks in my mind is what are we going to do? What kind of nation do we desire to be? And
so when you think of a Vice President Harris as a candidacy, President Kamala Harris, what inspires you about her candidacy, motivates you to do something over the next 44 days on her behalf?
I mean, what inspires me, one is, just the fact that we have gotten to this point where we have a candidate who's powerful, who's awesome, who's brilliant, who's phenomenal, who is gifted in every way, and also happens to be a woman, and also happens to be Black and East Indian, and also happens to be from the Caribbean, but now has a real space to step into that place. You know, I'm honest, I look back and I see the history of the nation. I say, well, it's not like all the people who've come before us have done this magnificent job. We have so many issues. They've done a good job.
Yeah.
We have so many issues that we need to overcome. I think it's very clear that we should give Kamala Harris a chance at the seat. Absolutely.
Well, listen, Dulé, we appreciate you coming on here on a Sunday afternoon, spending time with Levi. That's the new way forward right back there.
You see what I'm saying?
Levi Hill is on the ballot for sure.
That's right. And look, and that's what we're voting for. We're voting for our future.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's the thing we always have to ask ourselves: who do we desire to be? You know, I love being an artist because an artist always asks the audience or the nation or the people, the community, who do we want to be? It inspires us to connect to our humanity. We make sure that we have empathy for others, and we are losing that as a nation. And right now, we're at a crossroads to say, that's the choice that we have to make.
We appreciate you, man. Thank you for being all in for Kamala Harris. Enjoy the rest of the Sunday evening. I don't know what Levi has on the agenda, but it looks like he's ready.
He's ready.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
All right, man. We'll catch up.
All right, man.
All right.
Thank you so much. Dulé Hill, Emmy Award-winning actor from The West Wing in the early 2000s, and also he won this award, Emmy Awards, supporting actor, joining us. He could be my cousin. We're going to do some ancestry search, Karen, and see if we are connected by the surname. Well over, Haitians and Jamaicans, Karen, are the number 2 largest Caribbean immigrants across the United States of America. And we live in multiple states and could make the difference in the margins of this election. So we want you to have a voting plan. And I want to kind of bring up now my next guest, who is queued up. She is a startup founder with Avatar Buddy. She is hailing from formerly known as the British Honduras in Central America, now known as Belize. I want to bring up my sister, Stephanie Sylvester, to the stage of the Rally for Kamala. I want to bring her up to the stage right now so that we can talk to her about how she is getting prepared for this upcoming election. So Karen, while we're preparing to bring Stephanie up, how are you?
Sure, and it's my absolute.
Are you voting by mail or are you voting in person? You're muted, Karen, can't hear you.
Apologies. I'm going to be voting in person. I want to feel the ballot in my hand. I'm going to vote up and down the ballot. I want to make sure that I place it in that ballot box, but absentee ballot voting is just as safe, but I plan to take family. So I will personally be strapping some young people to the car and carrying some seniors to the polls with me.
I prefer to vote by mail, because I'm a voter protection attorney, so I need the time off so that I can be in my schedule. So are we ready for bringing up Stephanie to the stage for Rally for Kamala? We want to introduce her, our sister from representing the Belizean community across the nation. Stephanie, please join us here on the rally.
Hi, Marlon. Thank you for having me.
Good evening, my sister Stephanie. What's for Sunday dinner tonight?
Salmon and avocado and egg salad.
Boy, man, you need some pepper sauce on the salmon, Stephanie. Come on, man.
Well, it's cooked Belizean style, so it does have some personality.
So listen, Stephanie, I know that you are leading the charge on trying to build a team of responsible voters. What is different about this election for you and as a person of Caribbean descent, and how are you preparing?
I think there are a few things that's different this year. One is I'm able to get out the word more and reach more people because I'm leveraging AI to create little clips and videos to push out. So I have about a distribution of about 285 people that I send updates and posting recommendations, and then they post on their social media so that we can expand the reach and we address different topics. So right now we're just go and check your registration. Don't ask somebody if they are registered to vote. Just go and say, hey, here's a link, check your voter registration. And there's so many different links out there. I use vote.org, but there are a number of different ones out there. And then secondly, just making sure people update their information. If your name's changed, you moved, your signature changed, you need to update all of that information. So and then I'm concerned about immigration.
So immigration is the top issue for you on the ballot?
Yes. There's two ways. One, in this country, every single person is a descendant of an immigrant. So the anti-immigrant rhetoric is very alarming. And then secondly, when we start deporting people back to their home countries, especially if they've grown up here, it creates a lot of disturbance in their home country. And I remember when there was mass deportation in the early 2000s and what that did to some of the Central American countries. And so I'm very concerned about what that could do again if this were to happen. And so I think that there needs to be responsible immigration. I understand it might seem like unreasonable to wait 17 years to get your green card, but I think we also need to make sure that we're not doing a broad sweep. And without immigrants, this country doesn't exist.
Excellent. Well, listen, Stephanie, we appreciate you taking a short break to join us here on the Rally for Kamala. Are you going to be voting by mail? Are you going to be voting in person? What's your voting plan?
I'm voting in person. I like to, on election day, I go and I vote in person. I'm going on a trip and I'm making sure that I get back in time to vote. I plan my trip around election day.
Excellent. Stephanie Sylvester, representing our Belizean family, startup founder with Avatar Buddy. Thank you for joining us here on the Rally for Kamala. See you out on the campaign trail, Stephanie. Thank you for sharing your voice here on the rally after Sunday dinner. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Marlon. Good luck, and we're looking forward to celebrating on November 6th.
Absolutely. We'll be in touch. Bringing back my partner in crime, Karen Andre, to introduce our next speaker that we're having queue here for the Rally for Kamala, streaming live at rallyforkamala.com. You're on mute, Karen. Come on, man. Dr. Bookman is going to give you some licks.
4 years of a pandemic. You'd think I'd get it together. Apologies, massive. So our next speaker is going to share some thoughts and wisdom. She is a powerhouse in the entertainment industry. She is a publicist. She hails from the spicy island of Grenada, but you all may know her, some of you all who are in the Beehive, as the publicist for the Beyonce Cardinals. So we're going to load up a message from Yvette Noel-Schure.
to speak with fellow Caribbean Americans about this monumental election. To me, there's a clear choice in this election, and it's Kamala Harris. I think she's the only person that will stand up for us. But before we get into why I think you should vote for her, I just want to say that as fellow Caribbean people, we must stand up for our Haitian brothers and sisters. It has been way too long that we stood by the side and watched and listened as people ripped Haitians, their culture, their history apart. No more. No more. Because if anyone talks badly about Haitians, they're really talking badly about all of us. We're one people. We're one Caribbean. Now for this election. There are a couple of things on the ballot of importance to us. There are lots of things that are important, but let's talk about immigration. I think that Kamala Harris is the only one who really understands who we are, what we need, and our contribution to this country. I'm a proud Grenadian, but I have been an American citizen for close to 40 years. And I've voted in many, many elections, and not with very good outcome for us. You can't tell me you've been better by those horrible outcomes. We have to stand up for what's right. We have to stand up for those who are still planning and hoping to come to America, whether it is to join family members or to study, will get a chance. We have to stand up for the person who do not believe we're criminals. We have to stand up for the person who believe that we are here, like every other immigrant, to make our lives better, to help our families. We have to stand up for each other. If you're undecided today, I don't know what will change your mind, because it's either you vote for good or you vote for evil. I know you're going to make the right choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yvette. You
powerful.
know, Spice Island Massive, Karen.
Jab, jab.
Jab, jab.
I felt that straight in the heart. I got chills. And it just goes to say the one love theme is real, right?
Yeah.
And this is what needs to happen, allyship. When one of us are down, all of us have to be there and stand present and stand by and pick each other up. So
We have to be each other's bookman.
amen. Amen. Keep the cutlass and the machetes nice and sharp.
You got to stay ready and get ready and stay ready.
That's right.
As always. And if you need to don yourself with some oil, mud, and powder, then that's what you need to do to get the job done.
Get ready.
But we want to thank you again for tuning in. If you're just joining us here on rallyforkamala.com, we appreciate you. Our partners streaming live on Trini Jungle Juice, Coda Network, Tempo TV, and all the other platforms on your device. We want to thank you for sharing your Sunday supper with us here in support of Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. The election is less than 44 days to go. Early voting has already started. And we have a very special guest that's coming up right now to share her thoughts as to why she is also joining the rally. Coming up right now here on rallyforkamala.com, our very special guest. Wait a second, who this? Don.
It's me.
Nisha.
Yeah, tell me.
What's going on, sister?
We're here. We're trying to show solidarity in what needs to happen for the future. There are lots of conversations.
For those folks who may not have met our very special guest that is just shaking the ground here on Rally for Kamala, Denisha Pras, my sister, granddaughter of the Honorable Robert Nesta Marley of the island of Jamaica. Welcome to the rally. What has inspired you to come and give us some greetings and some thoughts on this election, Denisha.
Well, you know, right now you might hear some music in the background. I'm hosting an event called Simmer Down Sundays, which is important for us to create a space for all generations to soak in our culture. And I think this is a prime moment for Caribbean people who live in lands all over the world to recognize that one love is an action. It's not just a song that my grandfather, my grandmother sang. It's not just some new movie. It takes more than just singing music. There are conversations for us to have. We've been wanting to have them for a long time, and now the platform is finally here. And I feel like if we don't speak collectively, then we will be outspoken. You have a lot of tricksters and entertainers who are trying to confuse the masses. But like my grandfather said, you must tell the children the truth, you know? So growing up and seeing how my grandmother took up space in different places as a leader, as a Black woman, charting different waters, whether barefooted or with heels, in well-dressed clothes or our ITAL style, it's important for us to stand together, you know? We may not always see the same vision, but collectively our voice will be heard and we will find a way to make it happen.
So Denisha, you know, I know that you're not afraid to take on issues that are important to you and that you're passionate about. For those people that may be watching, irrespective of their party affiliation or getting ready for this election, what is your advice to them as to taking on something that's important to them and organizing their friends and family to do something about it? What would you say to them?
I'm a mom now, and I want to see my son grow up and know that he has a space everywhere in this world, that I have helped to ensure that that foundation was laid. We live one time, and so live out loud and live with purpose. Don't just let life pass you by. Right now, we're talking about developing nations because our world is still new. People are still creating new models of coexistence. So I think we should stop undervaluing ourselves. Take yourselves a little bit more seriously, because our ancestors had much less than we have and were able to do so much more. So who are we today? What can we do? What our tools are? And let's organize, centralize, and mobilize.
And if you had a chance to have some Sunday dinner with Vice President Harris, any advice you have for her in the next 44 days and those people that support her, what would you say to them?
Well, the first thing I want to say is make sure that some ITAL food is prepared. My style. And we have to eat healthy so that we can think healthy. And there are a lot of conversations that I would love to have with her to really hear the in between the lines of what she's saying. I have a lot of confidence that as a woman who come from roots like ours, you know, there's some revolution in there more than she's able to say now. So Kamala, we're looking for the revolutionary spirit. See?
Excellent. Denisha, thank you for tuning in here. I know that you are hosting Simmer Down right now, but we're not simmering down right now, you know, Denisha.
No, but
we're ramping up.
We're ramping up. But you see, it's a slow bubble. Sometimes you got to it's a slow bubble.
Do I put the Scotch bonnet in right now?
Right now is the right time because the pot is about to look now, man. Our style nice, you know. So we're looking forward to Kamala to come take up some space and do the things that we know that the rutical ones would do.
Excellent. Denisha Pras, thank you for joining us here on Rally for Kamala. We so appreciate you and your passion, and blessings to you and your family. And we so appreciate you coming into the rally to drop your little Scotch bonnet into the thing.
Just a little Scotch bonnet.
A little.
Yeah, man.
Right. We appreciate you. Blessings.
Right. Yeah, man. Blessed love.
Turning it back over now to my sister Karen Andre to introduce our next speaker here on the rally. We hope that you are dropping the comments in the chat. Any questions or comments, you know, you want to big up your country or your heritage or anything like that, drop it in the chat. We want to hear from you because we're going to be coming to you shortly. Over to you, Karen.
Marlon, thank you so much. Again, this Rally for Kamala mission started again when we saw Win with Black Women and so many other For Kamala groups coming together, and a group of good people said we have to represent the Caribbean massive for Kamala, and now we have reggae royalty joining us. So when you start with a good mind, with a good heart, just trying to do the work of the people. You're blessed by seeing the Bob Marley's granddaughter join and add the conversation. So I was so proud to have heard her message, and we send love to her, the whole Marley family, and of course the Queen, Rita Marley. So next we have a former state representative, but before I cite her name and the state she's from, if you all know what a battleground state or a swing state is, please drop some information in the chat. And if you know what this election cycle's key battleground states are, I'd love to test a little bit of your history and your knowledge. But since I can't see you all in the chat, I'll say Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and our guest hails from Georgia. I'm bringing to the podium for our rally, former state representative from Georgia, Miss Donna, former state representative, the Honorable Donna McLeod. Welcome. How are you this evening?
I'm good, Karen. It's good to see you in person. Well, via Zoom and, or live streaming. So that's great. Right. Thank you. And I hope that everybody's having a great evening. Happy Sunday, and big up to everyone that's watching.
So before I could ask you what island you hail from, you said the big up. So I'm going to guess Jamaica, but go ahead and tell the people them.
Yeah, man. All day, every day. Hail from Kingston, Jamaica. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were to serve in a Georgia house.
Absolutely. You were in the Georgia house circa what period?
I served from 2019 until 2022. Actually, when all the very bad legislations were passed. So in fact, I couldn't help but crying when I was actually on the Zoom with the Oprah and listening to the guests that were talking about the 6-week ban, and just remembering how hard we fought to stop it, and even the permitless carry legislation that passed into law as well. So it's been hard watching this cycle, because now we're seeing what bad laws can do, what the results of bad laws are people dying. And so there are consequences.
Let's tease that out a little. For those of you who didn't go to Oprah's YouTube channel to watch her live stream with Vice President Harris, what the representative is referencing is a young woman's mother and 2 sisters joined the studio audience to talk about how they lost their daughter and sister because of the abortion ban that passed in Georgia right before this young woman decided she wanted to terminate an unwanted pregnancy, and the consequences of her trying to get medical care after having to go to another state to do the procedure, and returning to Georgia and having complications. I'll let you finish the
yes,
story.
So she had complications. She has a son already, and that complication led to her basically bleeding to death. And they could have stopped it, but apparently the doctors didn't want to interfere in fear of them being held accountable for the law. And I just want to remind everybody, laws are the opinion of who's sitting at the table. Just like it was state law to own human beings as slaves, we got to be very cognitive about what laws are being passed in your state. And so my heart, I just wanted to, I wish I could have just reached out and just hugged these people and said, I'm sorry, because I was part of that time, but it wasn't from a lack of trying, even almost everything that happened bad this last decade had happened in the 4 years that I served, including the voting law, the suppression law for voting, SB 202. And I had to be I was on MSNBC, CNN, and I refer to it as Jim Crow 2.0. So it's really everything that we thought would happen is happening.
The worst.
And that's the pain that you carry when you're at the table, right. And folks don't understand that they need to go down the ballot and vote people out that don't stand for what you stand for. And don't tell me you're not into politics, because at the end of the day, we have to have politics. It's the process to elect someone who's going to be your voice at the table.
Representative, That's so powerful what you just said. I said in the opening that politics governs everything from your birth certificate to your death certificate. You are a former lawmaker, and you made laws and tried to stop bad laws, and everything in our lives is touched by a law. So to say you're not into politics is to say you're closing your eyes and your ears to the laws that govern everything about your existence and taking yourself out of the system to have a say. Is that right?
That's correct. And I think what I'm trying to explain, especially to the fact that I was blessed enough that people believed in me enough to make them, for me to be their voice. Here I am, a woman with an accent from an island, and growing up in Canada and coming here and getting this opportunity where people said, I want you to be my voice. And what I'm trying to really express to folks is that politics is separate from governance, right? Politics is the process in which because this is a republic, means that the republic requires the people to participate in order for it to work.
Right.
The reason why you get involved in politics is to elect that person to be your voice. And the governance part is how they use your money, because you're being taxed. And taxation without representation in 1773, this country went to war for. And so it is important that we understand that the money that's collected in taxation, that the money is to be used for services to you. So we collectively say some things we don't want to pay for every day, like riding on a road. You know, if it's a for-profit road, you're going to pay a toll.
That's right.
If you want to ride a road that is not for profit, that's why we contribute. And it's so many levels with education, healthcare. It's so many levels that the government govern your money to ensure that you get services you need. And I'm really trying to get that people understand. Stop telling me you're not in politics, because politics is just that process. And then we have to govern on behalf of the people we serve.
It's a beautiful point. And we want to make sure that the people we elect can govern, can lead, because if you look back to the year 2001, again, who was in office when 9/11 happened? When you look at Katrina, look at the response, right? So we can't assume that during any 4 years of any elected official's term that it's going to be smooth and easy, and things that may happen, natural disasters, wars, famine, and you want a person in office that has the values and the leadership and the ethics, right? To lead in those times, because lives can and will be lost during, i.e. COVID.
Oh, yes. And I was a sitting legislator at the time as well, just going through some of the pain of my constituents who the Department of Labor here failed them with unemployment. We were out there in mass trying to get the doors open. It was a mess. And that's where leadership matters. And people need to understand who is on their side and who's not on their side. Do not vote against your interests, because at the end of the day, that money is going to be spent. Oh, yes. Right. Regardless of if you voted or not, somebody's going to spend, and you might not like how it's being spent, because who's that chance to do it? So you need to make sure you put people at the table that really care about you well-being.
So lastly, Representative, and thank you for so eloquently teaching this civic lesson. You were a state representative, and I'm glad you were there in those critical 4 years to be on the front lines, to fight. I'm so happy that you were there to lend your voice, even if we weren't ultimately successful in blocking everything. But I'm sure you did your part to, if not block and tackle and inform and advocate. So your time there was not in vain, and I thank you. And I want to underscore, if you would talk a little bit about the fact that you were a state representative. Many people go to the polls, click off for the president every 4 years, and then hand in an empty ballot. You're proof positive as to why you need to do what?
Go down the ballot, because the ballot is actually set up just like the 3 branches of government. The top person is usually the executive branch, and then you'll find the middle of your ballot has all your legislators and sometimes your county officials, like a county commissioner or a county CEO. Those are all falling down the ballot. And then And in some states, you might have your judicial candidates also on that ballot. But in our state of Georgia, our judicial candidates are usually in the primary process. And so the difference between primary and a general election matters again in the state of Georgia. You have to pull a Democrat or a Republican ballot in order to start being identified of either party. And when you pull a nonpartisan ballot, do not ever pull that nonpartisan ballot because it only has judges. Your partisan ballots will have your judges as well as the candidates that you will like to have elect in November to go up against the opposite party. So again, people need to understand how the ballot works. Government has 3 branches of government in every layer. At the city council, you have your mayors and your city council member, and there are judges even at the city level. Then in the county, you're going to have your executor, either a county chairperson or CEO,
taxes.
And then you're going to have commissioners. And then at the state level, we have, in the state of Georgia, we have a governor, and in my case, the legislative branch with 180 House members and I think it's 56 senators. And of course, there are statewide judges. So know that this repeats itself. And then at the federal level, we have the president. And of course, I absolutely am in 100% support of Kamala Harris, not just because she also shares some of our DNA from the island of Jamaica, but because I think she's capable, she is intelligent, and she will deliver the kind of leadership we need and the empathy that is required to see somebody else's issue and not have to experience it. There's 2 types of people I do not like. One is a liar, and the other one is someone who wants to put somebody else down to bring themselves up.
Ooh.
Cannot stand those 2 people.
Powerful, powerful words. Finally, before I let you go, Representative, I could talk with you all night. You are in Georgia and you are a voter, a private citizen. Georgia, this cycle is a swing state. Because of all the hard work of people like yourself and Stacey Abrams, Georgia went into the blue category in previous elections. Now it's back considered a swing state, is bluish, purplish. So what do the Caribbean Massive in Georgia and even those of us outside of Georgia, what would you ask them to do to help swing Georgia in the right direction?
So the first thing I'm going to ask everybody to take action is go to iwillvote.com. I need you to go there. I need you to verify that you are still on the voter roll. Please, please, please. The deadline in Georgia is October 7th. Please check your voter registration status. I can't tell you enough, because if you are not registered by October 7th, you will not be able to participate in this election, right? There's only 2 requirements. To be honest, there are only 2 requirements to vote in the United States of America. 1, you must be a citizen of the United States, and 2, you must be 18 years of age and older. But for some reason, just like the amount of jelly beans in a jar and the number of bubbles on a soap bar, it's the same tactics of suppression. So I really ask everybody to first check your voter registration status. Make sure you're still registered. I don't care if you've voted 10, 15,000 years ago and you've always voted. Check again to make sure. If you're not registered to vote, make sure you're getting registered to vote. You can also do that at iwillvote.com. And I also want, if you are able to go to go.kamalaharris.com, volunteer, help, canvas, phone banking. So please get involved, get to the Caribbean community. We are loud and we're in charge, and we know this. We run things, so we don't let things run us. So I'm asking you to make sure that you get it done, because knowledge is the most powerful thing you give to yourself, but the vote is the most powerful thing we give to each other. So let's get it done.
Drop that mic. Let me know when you're ready to run again, sis. I'll join the campaign team. Thank you so much, Representative McLeod. God bless. Big up.
Big up.
All right, that was powerful. I hope you all caught all those civic lessons and gems, Marlon. What you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the passionate comment continue in the chat for those people that are supporting Kamala Harris, and for those people who are not, we welcome to the Rally for Kamala. We are definitely getting ready 44 days. We're asking you to visit kamalaharris.com, and most importantly, visit kamalaharris.com/issues to learn more about her vision for a new way forward for the United States of America. I want to go right now, Karen, to our last couple of speakers. I'm going to bring up on stage now one of our young people leading the charge at the largest college. Yes.
We're actually going to bring in a representative from the campaign. Sorry about that. We're switching up the order a little bit because folks on the campaign are always being pulled in a million different directions. This young man is named Somia Narena. I met him in 2012 working on the Obama campaign in Florida. He has never stopped working in politics. He has never stopped working campaigns. He is now the Deputy Battleground States Director for Kamala Harris. And he's going to come here to speak with us tonight about the action steps, the path to 270. And I couldn't be prouder of my brother. So happy to have you join us. Welcome, Somia Narena.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for having me, Charlotte. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Somia Narena, as Karen said. I am the Deputy Battleground Director for Harris for President, and I am very excited to share with you all of the great things happening across our battlegrounds as we gear up for Election Day. And folks have already started voting. We've got folks out for early vote already in places like Virginia. And, you know, it's really, really, really exciting to see all of the momentum that we are feeling on the ground. It's been a busy couple of months for the Harris campaign. Since we launched in July, our teams have hosted over 21,000 events with over 221,000 voters signed up to attend those events. We are also knocking every possible door we can. We've knocked over 880,000 doors. We have over 240,000 volunteers signed up to volunteer, and hopefully a couple more after this call. Thank you all for being here. And we have 650,000 new volunteers that have signed up to take action. So we are harnessing that energy. I'm sure you've seen all of the clips with our major rallies with Vice President Harris and Governor Walz, but we're also crisscrossing around the country with surrogates and other folks and canvas launches, you know, smaller events, house parties. But I will say that last week we did have our biggest day of the campaign in terms of activating folks. Just in North Carolina, we were greeted by over 25,000 attendees for two rallies for Vice President Harris, which was just a really wonderful thing to see.
In a red state at that. Great.
I would say, you know, North Carolina is a 50-50 state. It's got a wonderful governor, and Governor Roy Cooper, who has been supporting us, you know, since day one. And the enthusiasm is palpable in North Carolina, but also in Georgia, also all across these battlegrounds. So, you know, it's hard to believe that we only have 44 days left. But we are building the operation we need across our battlegrounds. As polls begin to open, as ballots begin to drop, our teams are super ready. We have been building for this moment in, you know, every battleground state that we can. We have already have 2,200 coordinated campaign staff, and we have opened over 330 coordinated campaign offices across these battleground states that you see on the screen right now. And so I know folks have been waiting for this, the electoral map. So we maintain multiple pathways to 270 electoral votes, and we are growing strength across all types of voters who are going to decide this election in the battleground. Now, on here, on this slide, you'll see just two of these pathways. We are working hard in the blue wall states of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, but we are also competing in the Sun Belt, in Georgia, in North Carolina, in Nevada, in Arizona. Over 122,000 volunteers have taken action with us in those blue wall states that you see there. While we also launched this campaign in the Sun Belt with over 112,000 volunteers who have taken action in the Sun Belt. And, you know, if we win through the blue wall, along with Nebraska 2, that'll get us up over 270. But having the Sun Belt in play and a big part of their strategy means that we have a lot of different pathways to get to 270 electoral votes at the end of this. But we are going to need your help to do that. We're going to need you to get into these states, knock on some doors. We're going to need boots on the ground for our early vote strategies, for our GOTV efforts. We need folks making calls into these states. And so if you have a way to get involved, I know that Karen is going to share a way for this group particularly to get involved. But you can also get started by going to go.kamalaharris.com and you can sign up to take action right there. But that is basically what I have, because I wanted, wanted to be sure I could hop on and share what we're doing at Harris for President. And I really want to thank you, Karen, for having me on.
No, thank you for answering the call, Somia. So basically, all of this energy and all these numbers got amassed in the last 6 weeks or so. We all remember where we were when we heard President Biden's announcement. So again, when they go to go.kamalaharris.com, they will learn how they can text into other states or text in their state, correct? Or phone bank into their states or other states. They will learn if they want to coordinate knocking on doors in their area or go to a swing state. They can do that as well, correct?
That's right. Go.kamalaharris.com is a one-stop shop to be able to sign up to volunteer, find an event near you. If you prefer to text, if you prefer to phone bank, if you prefer to go knock on doors, you should be able to find one pathway for you to get involved in this campaign.
Fantastic. I saw something online where folks were organizing in New York to take a bus to go do door knocking in Pennsylvania. So if there are folks in Florida that want to go up to Georgia or any other community, or actually make sure that you are reaching out to your relatives in some of these swing states as well as your home state. Any other last points of action that you want to share, Somia? I mean, I'm telling everybody it's go time now, right? But anything else?
First of all, what I would say is everybody on this call is in good hands with Karen Andre, who, I met, as she said, met 12 years ago now, something like that. Thank you so much for putting this group together, Karen. And then the second thing I'll say is, this is going to be a close election. We know that this is going to be a hard fought election. All 7 of those battleground states that I, talked through were decided by, a point or so or less. And we're talking about tens of thousands of votes. So every little piece that you can do, whether it is calling your relatives or making sure somebody is registered to vote, or going to, again, go.kamalaharris.com to make sure you can sign up to phone bank or door knock. Every little bit is really, really appreciated, because this is going to be an extremely close election. It is going to be hard fought, and field is one way, and your volunteer action is one way that we can make sure that we are using every possible thing at our fingertips here to try to make sure we bring this thing home for Vice President Harris and Governor Walz.
Thank you so much, Somia. I know as a fellow campaigner how much it took for you to take time away from all the million things that you have to do to be with us tonight. So much love to you. Keep up the work. I know you're tired, brother, but I know we're going to see you at the victory lap. Thanks so much. God bless.
Thanks all.
All righty. So folks, while Marlon joins me back on the screen, I have to again remind you, Marlon, where were you during 2000 election when we learned that the election was going to be decided by
534 votes here in the state of Florida? Florida is a lavender right now, but don't sleep on Florida. I'm telling folks across the country with those 30 electoral votes. Folks need to realize, Karen, that the elections are won on the margin. You see how passionate the comments are in the chat. Everyone has their side that they're picking and the reason why they pick their candidate, and we respect that. But we are here for the rally for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and we're showing passion for her. Somia talked a little bit about the ground game of the states that are important to us. And as a part of the American landscape, persons of Caribbean descent are a big part of that. And as we wind down this rally, in the chat, we want to get everyone ready over the next 44 days to vote. And we want to bring in one of the most important constituencies of a new way forward in America and the future of America. The last speaker of our rally this evening comes to us from Miami College. She is going to be a first-time voter. You need to be 18 years old. You need to be a U.S. citizen wherever you are in the world, whatever campus you are on, whatever college you are on across America. You are part of the new way forward, and I want to welcome to close us out for the rally for Kamala Lusant from Miami-Dade College. What flag are you representing, Kamara?
Hi. I'm representing IUT, the Haitian flag.
You know, what a way to punctuate a beautiful evening, Kamara. Thank you for making time from your church services and duties to kind of close us out. When you think of this election and this being your first time on the ballot, what emotion come to mind?
Honestly, hope, but also fear. Fear for our democracy, what it can be, but then hope for the future and what it also can be. I have hope in the people that we will look back at where we came from, we as a nation. Why did our founding fathers find this country to have a voice? Why did Haitians, revolt and break away from slave owners to be able to have their choice and have their vote? It's all about the fight that is to come. And this election is truly, I believe, a pivotal point in American history for the fight that is going on in this 21st century.
Well, Haitians fought for our freedom well over 200 years plus in this hemisphere. When you think of preparing yourself for the ballot to go and early vote or to vote by mail or to vote in person, I know that Miami-Dade College has its own precinct and early voting location. What are you fighting for on the ballot, Kamara?
I'm fighting for immigrations, of course, the immigration laws, to treat everyone as equal. I am fighting for climate change to ensure that the future that is to come will have somewhere to call a home, somewhere that they can enjoy. And I'm also fighting for gender rights and women rights in terms of abortion laws, that everyone is able to have the choice to make a decision that needs to be made. This country was founded, like I said, on that choice. Whether we come from different religious backgrounds, each person are unique to their own personality.
Wow. And when you think of a candidacy of a vice president, President Kamala Harris, and you say that out loud to yourself and your family and friends, what's the first thought that you have of what inspires you about this election?
The way that Kamala carries herself, she truly stands for what is right. She truly strives for, justice for the people, no matter what it may look like. And I think to have an African-American woman that can stand in her truth, even during the debate, to see how she was able to keep her composure and just constantly reassure us with facts and reassure us on where she stands with us, it was just beautiful. And I feel extremely proud to be able to look at her and see the future, but then also see myself in the present.
Excellent. Well, listen, Kamara, we greatly appreciate your time being here. Sample ballots to prepare for your ballots come out on September the 30th. We hope that you will take time with your friends and your family to prepare yourself to participate in this historic election. Good luck to you and your studies.
Thank you. Have a great evening, Marlon.
Thank you so much. Kamara Lusant, student at Miami-Dade College, the largest democracy's college, the largest college in the United States of America. She's going to be a first-time voter, Karen. Take us back when you were a first-time voter, and Karen, what was that like?
It was so thrilling. I can't recall which cycle it was, but I remember a friend of mine came to my home because he was helping a person run for Congress. He came to my home with the voter registration form, registered me to vote, and that's how I got into voting. As impassioned as I am about politics now, it took a friend coming to my home, putting a pen in my hand and registering me to vote to get me to actually spring into action. So I was once where many young people are today, just thinking, whoever's president is president. But I know that changed the course of my life, getting involved and paying more attention to the people who are making decisions for everything, including my health, my body, and my future.
Well, Patrick Gaspard that began our rally and our conversation here this Sunday evening with 5 things that we need to do something over the next 44 days. Wherever you side on the political spectrum, this is really all about your voice and your power, because we have the equal currency. Billionaire or a person that's working hard on the manufacturing lines have the same currency. as it relates to a vote. So we're encouraging you to go to iwillvote.com, check your voter status, update your address, update your signature, make sure that you're on the voter rolls, because you can't have an impact or a voice without first having to do that. The deadline to register to vote, Karen, is October the 7th for Florida and Georgia. But here on the Raleigh, the deadline to register to vote is right now. Tonight, whether you're in Port-au-Prince, Port of Spain, Bridgetown, or your whatever city that you're in,
as a U.S. citizen, let's not get anyone in trouble.
As a U.S. citizen, for sure, right? But you need to be registered to vote to make sure that you can have your say in this election. And then you have to come up with a plan.
And also, don't forget Port of Spain or Port-au-Prince, votefromabroad.com, right?
Votefromabroad.org is that, you have to request an absentee ballot. And depending on your state, you could vote by email, you could vote by mail, but you must register to your last known address in the United States. So let's say you were born in Brooklyn, but you moved to Barbados, and you're now there as a U.S. citizen. You need to be registered using the address of the hospital, right? Or if you last lived here, but you're now studying medicine in South Africa, you need to be registered to your last known address in the state that you're from. So go to votefromabroad.org for more information. And depending on your state, you can vote by mail, you can vote by follow the rules of your state as to how to vote by mail. Please make sure that you sign the ballot, you place a date on the ballot, and you put your contact information on the ballot as well, just in case any issues with your vote by mail ballot. And obviously, some states offer early voting. Here in the state of Florida, where I am, Karen, you are in Maryland right now. You may have early voting. Early voting starts in about 30 days, actually. On October the 21st, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can go to any location during early voting here in the state of Florida, but check the rules for your particular state. It is your responsibility of a voter to do the research and to get prepared. Do it with family, do it with friends, do it as a group, do it with your book club to get prepared to participate in this election.
We should leave no stone unturned. We cannot just make an individual plan. Like I said, I'm strapping people to the roof of the car. I'm going to do what my friend did for me many eons ago and make sure I register voters and also help my family and relatives fill out the ballot from top to bottom. And I'm pledging to personally carry people to the polls. And coming out of the town hall with Oprah and the vice president that I had the honor of representing Caribbeans for Kamala in the room, I can tell you I left there feeling like I'm not doing enough. So I will be personally phone banking. I will be personally going to knock on doors. And I can tell you, you remember in 2008 in Miami, running the Liberty City and Little Haiti offices, there are doors that we knocked on that the persons were not going to vote, even with a historic figure like Barack Obama on the ballot. And because someone came to their door and encouraged them or debunked some misinformation that they had heard, we turned out more voters. And by the time election day happened, all the votes had been cast during early voting. And I know some people are tired of me sharing my historical points, but there are babies on this call who don't know some of these things that some of our more learned, seasoned people do. Early voting is a direct result of labor unions fighting to give working people access to the ballot. Because when it used to be one day to vote, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., if you were doing a shift job or if you overslept because you worked from 3 a.m. till whatever, you missed it. So labor unions fought so that the people right, could have a period of days, 5, 7, 10 days, wherever in your state that you can go to vote, so you're not left out of the democratic process. Because as someone else said in the chat, all politics is local. So it's also who is funding your school system where you live, who is taking care of the roads and the street lights where you live, who is taking care of the ports, who is managing all this flooding that's happening in Miami or different states. Those things are often handled at the local level. So we have to vote from our city, county, state, federal, and we can leave no stone unturned. Democracy is not a spectator sport. We got to get in the game. We got to get on the field.
In the spirit of Toussaint Louverture and Dottie Bookman, when we fight, we
Win.
And when we vote, we
win.
So listen, we need you to go to kamalaharris.com right now and learn as much about the background of the candidate and the issues that are there. Volunteer, text, phone banking, because you need to make sure that you put your fingerprint on this election. And we want to thank our streaming partners, Trini Jungle Juice, Coda Network, Jamaicans.com, Le Union Suite, and of course, the people that took some time on their Sunday dinner to join us here in the comments, especially for those of you who have decided to support the candidate that we are supporting, Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz. We look forward to seeing you soon back here. Please check in at rallyforkamala.com. Subscribe for other updates as we prepare to make history in this election over the next 44 days. Thank you for tuning in and joining us tonight.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Marlon.